Oh, yeah, we're live. All right, I got Lissette Hurtado and me, Joe Rosen. Today, we're going to tell you what you should be thinking, what should you be preparing for when you're 6 months out and you know you want to buy that house. There's a lot going on, isn't there, Lissette?
So much to keep in mind. A lot of details that a buyer should have in mind when they're starting the process of purchasing a home.
It's a big deal. And I'm sure you've seen this too. A lot of people will get into it and they think, oh my gosh, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have learned this. I wish I would have thought about that. I wish I would have asked this. All those I wished are the things that we want to solve today, right? Give you a little bit of ammo, some juice to get those thoughts flowing in your mind so you can get ready for that stuff. So why don't you kick us off and give us the first thing we should be thinking out roughly 6 months out from buying?
There's a few, but one that comes to mind, I think a lot of people don't think of, is don't change jobs. This is not the time for a change in a career path. If you've been at your employment or doing the same field, stay in it that you've been doing for the past 2 years. You really don't want to make any major changes if you're in the process of purchasing a home.
Yeah, that's a great point. A lot of people, they're not linking, I have to get approved, with I hate my job. You might have to just hate your job for 6 months if you want to get a house, right? Or at least go talk to your lender and say, depending upon the loan program I work in, what do I need to be doing? Can I quit my job? Can I quit my job? And they'll give you those answers. So that's a great one that not a lot of people think about. And I'd even add to that, going out and purchasing a brand new, really anything, car, jet ski, pool, I don't care what it is. I don't know why you buy a pool if you're going to buy, but whatever it is you're going to buy, you want to make sure that you're aware of what's going to be on your credit. How much debt are you going to be carrying? Because they're going to be looking at those debt to income ratios. They're going to be looking at your credit score. How much of your available debt are you using? All those different things. So those are great points, man. Let me throw out a second thing. And I know this is going to sound like a pitch because this guy and that gal, I'm pointing in the wrong way, are realtors, but honestly, get a realtor, man. Get a realtor. And at this point, they shouldn't be selling you anything. You better not be getting pitches. You should literally be saying, Joe, I might have some questions. I want to be able to text you late at night or DM you or call you or email you and have these questions answered. Are you my guy? And now you've got someone who's going to work hard for you, right? So someone like Lissette or I are going to answer all those questions. And if you've got a good relationship with them, you shouldn't be getting pitched. I know I'm the same way, man. When you want to go buy a car, you always say, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. Let me just look at cars. And then when you kind of got it down to your 2 or 3, you're like, oh, okay, now I'll take the bombardment. You guys can come attack me. But it's the same way. So really try to find a realtor that you're comfortable with to ask those questions. You want them to be a source of knowledge. And I'd say the same thing with a lender, right? I think getting in touch with a lender, there's so many things, so many programs that you haven't thought about. But if your lender tells you, you can do this or this or this, which one? Well, I'd like to do this one. Okay, to do that one, we need to do this, this, and this. Like you said, you can't switch your employment. Don't go out and buy a boat. Don't go buy a car. If I know that's 6 months out and I can focus on that, that's so helpful. Your lender also, and this is something Lissette has a great resource for. Your lender also might say, listen, your credit sucks. Your cash position sucks. You need to work on this. You need to work on that. And so there's different things you can do with that. If my credit sucks, Lissette, what am I doing for the next 6 months?
You need to work on that credit. You need to start paying your bills on time. You need to bring down your debt. You need to get all the cards in order. And it's really important. Sometimes I have buyers in the pipeline for 2 years because it's either financials, income-wise, or credit-wise, they need to work on it. So it's really important within these 6 months, get to know your credit score, get with your lender, find out where you are at financially. So if you do need to wait out a little bit longer, you do. And you put yourself in the best position to try to get a hold of those best interest rates that are available.
Great points. And I would say too, guys, I shouldn't say this. I see both sides, right? I see people who have 620 credit scores and they're like, my credit sucks. I'm never going to get a house. I've seen them happen in the upper 5s. So yes, you can get a house. Your loan's probably going to be a little crappier, realize that, but you absolutely can get it. But I've also seen people with 520s and they're like, it's America. I can do anything.
Yeah.
No, you can't. So you might want to go talk to someone about getting that credit up, right? In 6 months, if you've got the discipline, if you've got a job, if you can make those payments, if you can do different things, talk to an expert who can help you with those things, you can make a lot of headway in 6 months. So definitely get working on that. I would add this too. How many small business owners, especially right now with COVID, right? How many people we getting from New York, New Jersey?
Right.
And the reason they're moving down is that state is shut down. Florida is considered to be wide open. And if I stay up there, my business is going to go bankrupt. If I come down here, I've got a lot of opportunity to continue to build my business. I can live, right? So we're getting a lot of small businesses. When you get a small business, it's either an owner or they're 1099. And now you've got a whole slew of other issues, right? How many times, Lissette, are you seeing where these guys are coming in and they've got a business where they're making 100, 200 grand, but with all their deductions, they've got 20 grand, 30 grand left to show at the end of the year. And they're like, I can't get a house. Why not?
Those are my favorite. 2 words, truck drivers.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
They're infamous for this. And I have a ton of them. And you know what? I just work with them. You educate them, you get them with a good lender, and you get in line. I have a few in the pipeline that are going to be ready to go this February. And they started last year and they knew what they needed to do. And they did it this year. And now 2021 is the year that they're going to be buying.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And listen, I'm in the same boat too, right? I'm going to have to, when I buy, look at the amount that I have to claim. And I have to hit that number if I want to buy. If I want to save money on taxes, I can claim all those deductions. But if I don't, I either have to make so much money that the deductions don't matter and I can still do it. But for 90% of the business owners that I'm working with, they need to know that number. And if you get with them 6 months out and you find out, especially now at tax time, hey, Joe, you need to have claimed at least 60 grand a year for the last 2 years. That's 120 grand. How much did you claim last year? Okay, 120 minus that is this. This is what you need to claim this year. Now I can do that tax preparation. That's awesome, awesome preparation. I would say too, creating that must versus want list. And both those things are really important, right? What must you have? And what if you can have it would be really cool too. Because over 6 months, that list is going to change. It's going to change. And it's going to change when you're out with your wife and you're walking around, having a good time on date night. And you're going to be like, oh, you know what Betty and Tom had? They had this. And man, I would love that. I didn't even think about that. And you're going to go home and add that to your list. If you've got 6 months to do that, you're going to have a tight, amazing list. But if you literally leave yourself 2-3 weeks, it's going to be spur of the moment, just whatever pops into your head. How often do you see issues like that, Lissette, where people are coming in and they'll end up buying something, they're pending for a week, and they're like, oh, I don't know if this is the house for me, because they kind of jumped into it a little bit quick. You ever see anything like that?
All the time. That's why I think this time is so important to really get to know the market, get to know what you're looking for, and where does that house fall into? What price range? Is that within your price range? Is that above or below? To make sure that you have the right expectations to when you come across these properties 6 months later down the road and you're putting offers. So this is definitely a time to do your homework and keep an eye on the market.
Yeah, and that brings me into my next topic, which is getting an auto email set up. Again, that's where a realtor should be doing some work for you. Just give them some criteria. You know, I want at least 4 bedrooms. I want at least 2 bathrooms. I want at least 2,000 square feet. Got to have a pool, whatever it is. Give them that criteria. Give them your price range. Give them the location, and they can set you up in an auto email. It's way, way better than Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, any of those, because all of those sites, what their goal is to get phone calls. So they're leaving every pending sale, a lot of sold sales, on their website. So when you go look up what's for sale, probably 20, 30% of that is truly for sale. The other 70, 80%, it's already sold. It's gone. You can't get your hands on it. But you're getting excited, and that gives them the chance to get the phone call, right? If you get an auto email from the MLS, from someone like Lissette or myself, all of those, at least when they're sent to you, they're ready to be purchased. You can purchase any one of those homes. So what that does is it allows you to see, okay, these are my expectations, and this is what I think my budget is. But what do we see a lot, right? You got champagne tastes on a beer budget. People start to look at that and they say, oh my gosh, I can't buy a whole lot with this amount of money. I got to either up that budget or I got to lower my expectations, right? Do you see that a lot?
All the time, especially in today's market. Unfortunately, just because prices are rising quite quickly, we have buyers with a mindset of a year and a half ago, where you could get a lot more within your lower 200s. Now you look in the 250 range, and they don't meet certain people's standard. So it's definitely a wake-up call. And again, that's getting with a good lender, getting approved so you know what you could afford, and making sure what you want falls within that bucket. If not, you may want to reanalyze the situation, lower your expectations, or save up a little bit more, make a little bit more income so you can qualify for more of a home.
What do you see more people doing when their homes that they're seeing in their budget aren't meeting what it is they want? Are they raising what it is their budget is, or are they lowering their expectations?
Wow, that really depends on the person's financial situation. If they could go up in budget, they do. If not, a lot of people are sitting back and waiting. And unfortunately, waiting isn't the best answer because they think that prices are going to come down in the summer. And we don't see any sign of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why getting to know the market and really sitting down and analyzing, well, this is what I want, this is what I need, and keeping in mind that in a home you can change so many things. So as long as you have what you need, you could put in what you want.
Yep.
So coming in with an open mind is really important.
So the next thing I'd throw in there is really coordinating the timeline and the move. It doesn't matter if you're renting or if you currently own, right? If you currently own, it's going to be a little bit more, but either way, when is your lease up? That's important because if you buy beforehand, you're either paying for a couple places at the same time, or you're going to have to negotiate your way out of that lease, which maybe you can do, maybe you can't, or you're going to be making double payments, right? So you really want to focus on all those things. If you're selling before you can buy, you really want to make sure that you line those two up, right? Do you have a plan B? What if one of those two deals falls apart? So you've got your home for sale and it's going to close on June 1st. And then you go find a home and you get a purchase agreement that closes on June 1st. But one of them falls apart. Think about either one of them. If it falls apart for financing, inspection, a slew of different reasons, what are you going to do? And really, all those things suck, right? Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to think about that. But the people who have the plan in place and they made it logically without emotion before it happened, because once it happens, you can't get rid of that emotion. It's tough. Those people make the best decisions. So just having that plan and looking at the move too. You don't want to sit and coordinate the move 6 months out, but I would look at how much it's going to cost. Are you going to get a company to do it? That's going to cost you thousands of dollars. Make sure you've got that money ready and it's not a surprise. If you're going to do it yourself, make sure you can get that time off of work. All those different things, those coordination pieces are critical. What are you looking at when we're talking about moves, Lissette? What kind of things have you seen with moves? How long do they take? How much do they cost? What are you seeing?
And it could be very tricky at times because especially if you have two deals that are lined up dependent upon each other and one is delayed for any reason, that delays your other deal. So it is tricky. I like to sit down with my buyers/sellers and let them know, get ready. You might have to postpone the moving truck by a day or two. You might have to take a few days off of work. You have to be flexible during this time period because there's so many moving pieces if you're coordinating two closings at the same time.
I would also really impress upon people. This sounds so simple, but I'm telling you, the biggest issue I see in real estate is a lack of communication. You have a realtor, an inspector, an appraiser, a title company, a lender, possibly a mover. You've got a slew of people. If any one of them that's critical is not picking up the phone and responding, especially when a deal falls apart 3 days beforehand, or it gets moved, right? And you can't get that moving company on the phone. You can't get your realtor on the phone. It's a big deal. So really, really make sure above all other things, you're working with somebody who communicates. Yeah, last thing I'm going to put out here, and then I'll give it to you if you've got any bullets you want to add here, is create a list of all the bills, all the accounts that you've got that you're going to need to switch the address to, right? And I know I'm a planner, man. So the last time I moved, I had it all. And just like that wants and needs list, I would think of things a month or two later where I'd be like, oh my gosh, I didn't add that to my list. And I go grab my list and I'd add it, right? Just like our checklist. We run a real estate business here. We've got listing checklists. We got buyer checklists. Anytime we drop a ball with anything, that checklist is there so we can add it. We never drop that ball again. That's the goal. If you don't have a checklist, you're going to forget those things. So I think it's really important to have those things and get all those bills done. Do you want to add to that, or do you have any additional bullets you want to give me on what we should be ready for 6 months out?
One last one, I think it's a pretty big one as well, is reserves. You're going to want to make sure you have at least 3 months reserves of mortgage payments. The lender's going to want to see that. You're also going to want to make sure you have reserves to cover closing costs, moving costs, inspections. There's a lot of moving pieces during a transaction, and reserves is huge. You want to make sure you have that cushion that you have to be able to provide for throughout this whole process. So,
okay, so if I've never purchased a home and I'm thinking reserves, what the heck are reserves? How much are those going to cost me? Who do I talk to find out what that number is and what I should be saving for?
You talk to Michelle at Hometown.
Yeah,
You talk to
there we
your
go.
lender. Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk to your lender. You want to get down with them and go over all those numbers. You know, there's a lot of things that come into play when determining those numbers. So they really won't be able to come down to a precise figure, but they'll be able to give you a ballpark. So you have a good idea. Okay, I'm going to need X amount for my mortgage reserves. I'm going to have approximate this much for closing costs. So they'll be able to put you on the right path.
I dig it, man. That's awesome. Well, that's some good stuff. And honestly, I know it's all, when you hear it, it's all stuff that makes you go, yeah, of course, that all makes sense. But I'm telling you guys, save this video, jot this stuff down, make some notes. And if you're going to buy 6 months out, absolutely execute on this stuff and it'll help. It'll make everything easier. Lissette, I appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing day, my friend. Happy New Year.
Awesome. You too. Bye, guys.